Now, as gunshots echo across the wind-swept, snow-covered reaches of the wild Northwest, Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice, the breakfast cereal shot from guns, present the challenge of the Yukon. It's Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog of the Northwest, blazing the trail for Sergeant Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police in his relentless pursuit of lawbreakers.
On King, on you huskies!
Gold discovered in the Yukon, a stampede to the Klondike in the wild race for riches. Back to the days of the gold rush, with Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice, bringing you the adventures of Sergeant Preston and his wonder dog, Yukon King, as they meet the challenge of the Yukon.
What's up, Doc?
Here's what's up. Listen, fellas and girls, hear how you can get 5 all-new, brand-new, pocket-sized Bugs Bunny comic books. And they're yours while our offer lasts for only 15 cents and 1 box top from a package of delicious Quaker Puffed Wheat or Quaker Puffed Rice.
Wow, Doc, what an offer.
Stand by for full details later. Sergeant Preston, with his big dog King beside him, joined the crowd that waited for the Bonanza Belle, the first riverboat of the season. A tall man, about 35, turned as the Mountie approached and gave King an admiring glance.
It's a beautiful dog you have there, Sergeant.
Oh, Lyco.
I've always been crazy about dogs ever since I was a kid.
Have you a dog team?
Yes, I have a good one. Guess I better introduce myself. I'm Jim Hudson.
My name's Preston.
Say, are you the Sergeant Preston I've been hearing so much about?
Well, I don't know. I think I'm the only police officer by that name around here.
Then this must be King, the famous dog everyone talks about.
That's his name.
Oh, he's a beautiful animal. Hey, is he as smart as people say?
He's very intelligent. You been in the Yukon long?
No, not very. And I haven't been in Dawson much. I've been working my claim up near Indian Creek.
There she is, boys.
There's the boat just rounding the bend.
I'm sure glad to see it. My young son Peter's on it. I haven't seen him since I left home.
Oh? How old is he?
He's 12. My sister's bringing him. He's been staying with her. My wife died 5 years ago, and my sister's helping me raise him.
You planning to keep them both here permanently?
I don't know. It depends on how well they like it. It's a rough country, and they're both pretty soft. Peter didn't turn out to be the kind of kid I hoped he would. He likes books and studying. I'm going to try and rough him up a bit this summer. Make a real boy out of him.
As the boat landed and the gangplank was lowered, Sergeant Preston saw Peter. The boy was small for his age and rather pale. He greeted his father quietly, and then Jim Hudson led the boy and his aunt back to the Mountie.
Sergeant Preston, I want you to meet my sister, Mary Hudson.
How do you do, Sergeant?
How do you do?
And this is my son, Peter.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
Here's someone else who'd like to meet you, Peter. This is my dog, King.
No, keep him away.
Back, King.
Dad,
Back,
take him
fellow.
away. Please, Aunt Mary.
Peter, will you stop acting like a silly little fool? The sergeant's dog won't hurt you.
Stay back, boy.
I'm afraid. I don't like dogs. They scare me.
I'm sorry, Sergeant. Peter was frightened by a dog when he was small.
Oh.
He hasn't been able to overcome his fear, I guess.
Well, he's going to have to get over it. It's a pack of nonsense, and I won't stand for it. In my team, I've got 9 dogs almost as big as this one. And he'll get used to them if I have to make him sleep in their kennel.
Maybe Peter doesn't understand dogs. It takes time to get over a fight like that.
He's had plenty of time to get over it. It happened 5 years ago. Don't you worry. I'll cure him of being a sissy now that I've got him up here.
Jim, I think we'd better be going home. We're both rather tired.
Well, I hope I'll see you all again. I'm going to be patrolling the area around Indian Creek from now on.
Well, be sure and drop in on us next time you're up there.
I'll do that. Thanks. Come along, King. Bye.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, Sergeant.
He's a very nice man, isn't he?
I like him.
Well, I don't think he liked you very much. Yelling and screaming like a scared cat when you saw his dog.
But, Jim, Peter was frightened.
Frightened fiddlesticks. He's just a little coward, that's all. A sissy.
Jim, you haven't seen Peter for over 6 months. Why, this is a fine way to greet him.
I'm sorry. but a man doesn't like to be ashamed of his son. I'm going to see to it that he gets rid of that cowardly streak. The next time Sergeant Preston sees him, he's going to find a boy instead of something that ought to be wearing dresses.
The following weeks were a nightmare to young Peter. At night, he would lie cold with fear as the huskies outside the cabin howled at the moon. During the day, the great dogs terrified him, and there were daily clashes with his father, who refused to understand his deep-rooted dread of them. His Aunt Mary suffered almost as much as Peter, but she said nothing until one day she came upon a scene that broke down her resolution not to interfere. Peter and his father were out near the kennel when Mary came out of the cabin to call them to dinner. Jim Hudson was holding the head of Kane, the most savage husky of his team, and though the dog was muzzled, his ferocious growls almost drowned out the voice of Jim as he shouted at his son, who stood sweating with fear about 10 feet away.
Come here, I tell you. Don't stand there like a blubbering idiot. Come here.
No, Dad. Please. I can't.
If you don't come over here and put your hand on this dog, I'll give you the worst beating you ever had. Now, come here, I say.
Peter forced his legs to carry him forward.
Oh, no.
Then, as the dog gave a fierce lunge, the boy turned and ran. Seeing Mary, he raced toward her, tears streaming down his face.
Aunt Mary. Aunt Mary, please tell him I can't.
Mary, you bring that boy here. He's going to touch this dog or get a beating.
Peter, go into the house and wash your face. Dinner's ready.
Mary, did you hear what I said?
I heard you, Jim. Go into the house, Peter.
But Dad.
I want to talk to you. Go in, dear.
Mary, what's the meaning of this? You ordered Peter to disobey me.
I've tried not to interfere, Jim, but I can't stand it another minute. You're torturing that boy.
He's my son, and I have the right to discipline him the way I think best.
Put that animal back into the kennel. I can't hear what you're saying.
Come on, Kane. Here, boy.
Can you blame the child for being frightened? That's the most savage dog in your team.
That's exactly why I wanted Peter to touch him. If he could do that once, he wouldn't be afraid of the others at all.
Oh, but Jim, you're wrong. Don't you see you're making Peter worse by treating him like this? Oh, if you could only be kind and understanding.
Mary, you were a very good school teacher, but I think you'd better stick to reading and writing. I'll handle Peter my own way, and it'll work. Come on. Let's go into dinner. I'm hungry.
The following day, Jim Hudson took his dog team to the trading post for supplies, and young Peter played happily around the cabin. Later in the day, he sat with his Aunt Mary while she prepared supper.
Aunt Mary, do you think I'm a coward?
Of course not, Peter.
Dad does. I guess he doesn't like me.
Why, of course he does, dear. Now, stop thinking about it. Yeah, I think those cookies are just about done. I guess I'd better have a look at them. Yes, sir, they're ready.
Hello there. Here are the groceries.
Oh, hello, Jim. Put them right here on the table, will you? Oh, wait, I'll take these pans away.
Oh, they're heavy. Couldn't have made it if I hadn't had Kane with me to help pack them home.
Well, I'd have gone with you and helped. Why didn't you wake me up this morning?
You would have slowed me down. You can help me now, though. Come on, we're going to feed the dogs.
Jim, I promised Peter he could sample those cookies. Please let him.
He can have all the cookies he wants when we get back.
Here you are, Peter. You can eat this while you're going out.
No, thanks. I don't think I want any.
So the idea of feeding the dogs takes away your appetite. Well, it's not going to work with me. I don't care if you'll never eat any cookies. You're going to come out and help me feed those dogs.
Jim, can't you let him alone for just...
Mary, we talked this over last night, and I asked you not to interfere. I'll get their food out of the shed, and Peter's going to give it to them. If he doesn't, I'm going to lock him up in the pen with Kane and leave him there for the night.
Dad, please.
You'll be out there by the time I get the food out of the shed, or I'll come back after you.
Aunt Mary, I can't. I'm afraid.
Peter, please try. Just this once.
No.
Peter, come back here. Peter! Dear, the rest of the cookies. I'd better get them out. There. Peter! Peter, where are you?
He ran off into the woods.
Jim, go after him.
I certainly shall not.
Well, then I'll go.
You'll do nothing of the sort.
But he may get lost. You don't know what he'll do.
He'll come sneaking back in time to eat. Don't worry. He's too yellow to stay out in the woods after it gets dark. You go on and get supper. I'll work this out my own way.
Jim, I tell you, you're wrong about Peter.
He's my son, Mary, and I'll handle him the way I please. Now go ahead with supper. When that young man comes sneaking back, he's going to find a razor strap waiting. I'll teach him to run away when I give orders.
The supper dishes had been washed and put away, and Mary sat mending Peter's sweater while Jim Hudson read a book. Mary's hand shook, and now and then she glanced pleadingly at her brother, who kept his eyes riveted stubbornly on the pages. At last she could bear it no longer.
Jim, you must go and find Peter. It's after 9 and it's dark.
He's probably on his way home right now. He's waiting until it's dark, hoping I'll be in bed by the time he comes back.
But what if he doesn't come back? He may be lost.
A good scare will serve him right. He won't be so anxious to run away next time. I'm going to bed.
Oh, Jim, no.
And don't you try to find him. You won't be able to. You're not used to the woods. You're fool enough to sit up and wait. It's your affair. I'm turning in.
For the rest of the night, Mary sat waiting, dozing fitfully in her chair. The following morning, there was no sign of Peter, and Jim Hudson ate his breakfast in a sullen silence and left for his claim. When he returned at noon for dinner, Mary was crying.
I tried to find him. I looked everywhere. Oh, something's happened to Peter, Jim.
Hey, the weather's mild. He's probably just too yellow to come home.
You're just as frightened as I am, but you won't admit it. Why are you acting like a stubborn child yourself? He's your only son, Jim. You must do something.
I'll go and look for him. But if I find him, I'm not going to be easy on him.
I'll wait here in case he comes back while you're gone. Oh, Jim, I'm so worried.
We'll continue our story in just a moment. Look, Alakazam, it's a genie. Bugs Bunny runs Aladdin's lamp, and the genie appears.
Is Bugs scared of magical stuff? Imagine what happens when Bugs changes places with the genie. It's a tale of the supernatural.
Read all about it, fellas and girls, in Bugs Bunny Finds Aladdin's Lamp. It's just one of 5. Yes, I said 5 Bugs Bunny comic books that are yours if you act quickly. Yours for only 15 cents and 1 box top from a package of Quaker puffed wheat or Quaker puffed rice.
It's a special offer made only by these famous, ready-to-serve breakfast cereals shot from guns.
You've seen Bugs in the movies, in the comics.
What's up, Doc?
But you've never seen or read these handy pocket-sized Bugs Bunny comic books. You can't get them anywhere else.
They're just off the presses. All new.
All different.
All complete.
Yes, every story is complete in each 32-page book. Just think, 5 different stories. 160 pages of fun, excitement, thrills, mystery, adventure.
Wow, Doc, what an offer.
Imagine what happens to Bugs in the story of Bugs Bunny Meets the Dwarf Ghost.
And there's more excitement, more thrills in store for you when you read Bugs Bunny Joins the Marines, Bugs Bunny Lion Tamer, Bugs Bunny Fights the Man from Mars, Bugs Bunny Lost in the Frozen North, and plenty more.
Yes, we'll send you a set of 5 different books, and we'll let you know how easy it is to get 10 more Bugs Bunny comic books.
They're all new, all different, so be first in your gang to get a set.
It's easy. Here's all you do. Just go to your grocer, buy a package of Quaker puffed rice or Quaker puffed wheat.
Then cut off the top of the package, write your name and address on it, and send it along with 15 cents, only 15 cents, to Bugs Bunny, Chicago 77, Illinois.
Don't wait. Do it now while supplies last. We'll send your complete set of 5 Bugs Bunny comic books at once.
Send only 15 cents, your name and address, and 1 box top from a package of Quaker puffed wheat or Quaker puffed rice.
Then mail to Bugs Bunny, Chicago 77, Illinois. Now listen carefully while I repeat that address. It's Bugs Bunny, Chicago 77, Illinois. Now to continue our story. The hours passed slowly, and Mary was looking out of the window anxiously when she saw a uniformed horseman come round the bend toward the house. A huge gray dog ran beside the horse, And as they drew closer, Mary recognized the Mountie. She ran toward him eagerly.
Sergeant Preston!
Oh, Blackie, oh, no.
Sergeant Preston, I'm so glad you're here.
Hello, Miss Hudson.
Sergeant, something terrible has happened. Peter's run away. He's been gone all night.
Peter's run away? Why?
Oh, he had some trouble with his father. Jim's trying to find him, but I know something terrible has happened to
Now,
him.
don't worry, King, and I'll find him. But first, tell me about this trouble with his father.
Well, it all started because of Peter's fear of dogs. Jim's never been able to understand
As
it.
Mary told the story of Peter's disappearance, Sergeant Preston looked troubled. And then, as she began to cry, he called King to his side.
King, come here, boy. You see this dog, Miss Hudson?
Yes.
I've lost track of the number of lost people that King's found. He's trained to do it. I'll put him on Peter's trail, and I'll guarantee we won't come back without him.
Oh, I hope you're right.
There's just one thing that worries me. Finding Peter won't solve the trouble between him and his father.
Oh, why can't Jim understand the boy?
Perhaps I can help a little.
Oh,
When I find Peter, I'm going to take a few days to try to help him.
Sergeant, I can't tell you how much I'd appreciate it.
If Peter's all right, I'm not going to bring him back here for a week, so you're not to worry.
For a week.
If I don't find him or if he's injured, I'll be back tomorrow or sooner. Otherwise, you're not to worry, and you can tell his father that Peter's safe.
Shall I tell him you're with Peter?
Use your own judgment about that. Now, I want you to get me some article of clothing that Peter's been wearing so King can identify his scent.
I'll get it right away.
Well, King, old boy, we have another job to do.
Darkness had fallen for the second time since Peter left home. The moon cast eerie shadows through the forest as the boy stumbled through the underbrush. There was a chill in the late summer air, and he shivered in his light sweater. Tears made streaks in the mud with which he had plastered his face to protect it from the stings of insects that had swarmed around him. He was hopelessly lost, but had long since given up calling for help. He stopped beside a tree to rest for a moment. He froze with fright as the terrifying cry of a timber wolf broke the stillness. In the silence that followed, his fear grew. As he ran stumbling through the woods, the cry came again, and this time it seemed closer. Not far away, Sergeant Preston heard the howl. Certain that by now he must be close to Peter, the Mountie urged King on ahead.
Go on, King. Find him, fella. Don't wait for me, boy. On, King! Come on, Blackie.
The huge gray dog knew the danger of that distant cry. He sped through the forest, guided by the fresh scent of the boy, while Preston's horse had to pick its way slowly over the fallen logs and deep underbrush.
Careful there. These branches are low. Easy, Blackie. All right, fella. Oh, King isn't too late. Come on, up, fella.
Peter's breath came in sobbing gasps as he stumbled ahead. It seemed that every step he took must be his last, but terror drove him on. Suddenly, he came to a small stream, but gave a cry of despair as he saw the high wall of rock that bordered the opposite side. He waded through the water. He tried to climb the steep rock. Twice he fell back, and then waded downstream. He pulled himself up on a flat surface a few feet above the water and lay there exhausted. Presently, he saw the gray form of the wolf across the stream. He flattened himself against the rock, too terrified to cry out. The wolf sniffed the air and came slowly downstream toward him. At that moment, another gray form broke from the underbrush. There was a sudden snarl as King attacked the wolf. As the two animals thrashed back and forth in the stream, the frightened boy clung to the rock in terror. Then he gasped with relief as the figure of a man appeared.
Get him, King! Get him! Good work, King. Come here, boy. You all right?
Help! Help me!
Peter, where are you?
Here across the stream.
All right, Peter.
I'm all scared.
You don't have to be frightened now. King killed the wolf. It's a good thing he got here when he did.
King?
My dog, he was trailing you. Here, hang on to my neck. I'll carry you back across the stream, and we'll start a fire and dry you off. King needs some attention, too.
Please, I'm afraid. Don't take me near the dog.
Of course not. I'll build a big fire and put you on one side and King on the other. Hang on now.
Peter had been fed and lay wrapped in a warm blanket before the fire that Sergeant Preston had built. He watched the Mountie, who was preparing another blanket close to Peter.
You're going to sleep here beside me, aren't you?
Yes, Peter, right here.
I hope there aren't any more wolves around.
We won't have to worry about them.
If you go to sleep, maybe they'll come.
You're forgetting about King over there on the other side of the fire. No wolf will come while he's around. You saw what he did to the one that was after you.
Did King know the wolf was after me?
Of course he did. That's why he attacked the wolf, to save your life. Would you like to pat him, just to show you want to be friends?
Well, do you think you could just sort of tell him instead?
Why, of course. Here, King. Peter wants to be your friend, fella. He knows you saved his life, and he knows you like him. After he's had a good sleep, maybe he'll be able to get better acquainted.
Do you think he knows what you said?
He understands a lot. Watch. All right, King. Lie down here right beside me. Down, boy.
He does understand
Of
you.
course he does. Now, King, I want you to keep watch so that Peter can sleep without worry. You're not afraid now, are you, Peter?
No, not with King here close to us.
Guess we'd better go to sleep then.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm awful tired.
Good night.
Good night. Sergeant Preston,
Yes, son?
are there any other dogs like King?
Most dogs are like King. If people are kind to them, they repay it by protecting them and being their best friends. You ought to have a puppy, Peter. One that could grow up with you.
Yes, but, well, maybe.
When Peter woke the following morning, Sergeant Preston was frying a freshly caught trout over the fire. The Mounties smiled at him as he sat up.
Morning. You had quite a sleep, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess I did. When did you catch the fish?
A little while ago. I left King here with you to guard the camp.
You mean he was here, alone with me, while I was asleep?
Yes. I saved a fish for King. I thought probably you'd like to give him his breakfast, so I waited till you woke up. Here it is. Give it to him.
Sergeant Preston,
Yes, son.
I have to tell you something.
Go ahead.
Well, after I tell you, you won't like me very much.
Oh, I'm sure you're wrong, Peter. Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
I'm afraid of dogs. All dogs. Even little ones.
Lots of people are. That's just because they don't understand dogs or know how to treat them. As soon as they learn, the fear leaves. Certainly you're not afraid of King after he saved your life and guarded you all night.
I know I shouldn't be.
Go ahead, feed him. That'll show King you like him.
Is it all right if I just throw the fish to him?
Well, sure, toss it to him. He'll catch it.
All right. Here, King. Golly, he caught it all right. And look, it's gone. He swallowed it.
Now he's saying thank you, and he'd like another. There's another one for him. Give him this one. Hold it in your hand. He'll take it very gently.
I want to.
Go
but-
ahead, Peter. You're really not afraid anymore.
All right. Here, King.
The big dog seemed to sense what was happening. He walked toward Peter quietly and slowly and took the fish carefully with his big jaws. After eating it, he wagged his tail and came to Peter and laid down quietly beside him. Automatically, Peter's hand went out and patted the shaggy fur. When he realized what he was doing, he drew it back. Then King stretched his head forward and licked the hand gently. Peter smiled.
We're friends. He almost said so.
Of course you are. Now, Peter, you're not afraid anymore, are you?
Oh, no. I guess maybe I didn't know about dogs before. I didn't know they could be like this.
On the way home, we'll stop in and see a friend of mine. He has a new litter of pups, and maybe he'd like to sell one.
Oh, but Dad wouldn't buy it for me. He's going to be awful mad at me.
Well, maybe we'll just order it, and I'll have a talk with your father about it.
During the week that followed, Sergeant Preston kept Peter at his side. King played an important part in driving out all fear of dogs, and Sergeant Preston taught him that in dogs, as in people, there were both good and bad. At the end of that week, Jim Hudson paced the floor of his cabin angrily as Peter's Aunt Mary sat placidly mending beside the window.
If Sergeant Preston thinks that keeping Peter away from me for a week is going to save that kid from a whipping, he's mistaken. I have that strap waiting. He'll never run away again.
It was all your fault, Jim. You had no right to threaten him like that.
I will lock him up with the dogs. I didn't mean it before, but this time I'll do it.
Oh, here they come now. And there's Peter. Sergeant Preston is lifting him down from his horse.
Where's that strap? Peter's going to get a welcome he doesn't expect.
Dad, I'm home.
You come here, young man. I'll show you whether you can... Hey, that dog.
Guess you'd better not try to whip Peter just now, Mr. Hudson. You see, he and King are friends, and King wouldn't like it.
Peter, you're touching him. You've got your hand on his collar.
I'm holding him, Dad, so you'll know that I don't want him to bite you.
I can't believe it. He's touching that dog. He isn't afraid anymore.
Mr. Hudson, your son's no coward. He just didn't understand dogs, and you didn't help him by forcing him, instead of taking the time and patience to explain. A week with King and me has changed all that.
I don't know how you did this, Sergeant. Will you shake hands with me if I tell you I'm ashamed of the way I acted? I really love my son very much, but I was anxious to make a he-man out of him. Guess I just didn't know how to do it. From now on, I'll do it your way.
Well, I must tell you, Peter, when I stopped to see a friend of mine who has a nice litter of pups, there was one Peter liked very much.
He can have all the pups he wants.
Good. Incidentally, we ordered it.
What? I guess I didn't have much to say about it. And I never thought I'd see the day when my son protected me from a dog.
King and Peter certainly turned the tables. You looked quite scared for a minute.
Frankly, I was. But come inside. You and King must stay for supper.
Why, thanks, Hudson, but we can't stay. King and I have to go.
Oh, wait just a minute. I want Mary to see Peter and that dog. Mary! Mary, come out here.
Oh, Peter.
Hello, Aunt Mary.
Oh, thank goodness you're safe.
Look at him, Mary. Look at my boy and that dog. I declare they're pals.
You're not going to whip Peter?
I should say not. Son, I've got a job cut out for myself. I've got to make this a home you'll like.
Oh, golly, Dad.
Peter, when you get your own dog, do you suppose I could, sort of help you train him?
Oh, Dad, would you?
Would I? You bet I would. We'll get lots of dogs. We'll go partners on them.
We won't whip him.
No, sirree. There'll be no more whipping in this house.
Well, King,
Oh, Sergeant Preston, I'm so grateful.
That goes for me, too.
we must be going now.
Golly, King. Goodbye, Phil. He's shaking hands.
He's saying goodbye.
And look at him. He seems to be smiling.
I guess he's pleased with the way this case is closed.
In just a moment, Sergeant Preston will give you a preview of Monday's adventure.
What's up, Doc?
160 pages of fun and excitement. That's what we're ready to send you, fellas and girls, if you act at once. We'll send you 5, yes, actually 5 Bugs Bunny comic books. Stories you've never seen or read before. All new, all different, all complete. A different story in each of 5 books. And all yours for only 15 cents and a box top from a package of Quaker puffed wheat or Quaker puffed rice. Each handy pocket-sized book is 32 pages thick. And we'll not only send you 5 of these brand new Bugs Bunny comic books, but in addition, we'll send you information on how easy it is to get 10 more. Supplies are limited. Don't wait. Simply send 15 cents, only 15 cents, and 1 box top from delicious, nourishing Quaker puffed wheat or Quaker puffed rice. Send with your name and address to Bugs Bunny, Chicago 77, Illinois.
Look, Doc, you better hurry.
As Bugs says, hurry. Write down this address now. Bugs Bunny, Chicago 77, Illinois. Listen Monday when Sergeant Preston and Yukon King meet the challenge of the Yukon in the case of the missing money.
When King and I stopped at the constable's office in Selkirk, I was surprised to hear that a nice young chap I knew was accused of stealing a large sum of money and of deserting his wife and son. When I tried to prove his innocence, I found myself facing a gun in the hands of a fear-crazed man.
Be sure to hear this exciting adventure Monday. These radio dramas, a feature of the Challenge of the Yukon Incorporated, are created and produced by George W. Trendle, directed by Fred Flowerday, and edited by Fran Stryker. The part of Sergeant Preston is played by Paul Sutton. They are brought to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the same time by Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice, the breakfast cereal shot from guns. This is J. Michael wishing you goodbye, good luck, and good health from Quaker Puffed Wheat and